Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Blast Rush LS. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Bipedal Dog, Blast Rush LS released in June of 2025 for the PC and the Nintendo Switch, which is the version we're looking at today. This is a title I recently checked out in the most recent Steam Next Fest, so I'm super thrilled to be able to dive into the game already. It's an arcadey, wave-based score attack where your primary weapon is bombs. I've had a lot of fun with it, but you don't need to take my word for it. There's also a demo still available on Steam, so you can check out that demo if you like what you see here, but I do recommend this title. Finding ourselves at the main menu, there are several modes we can play the game in. There's the new LS mode, and then we have the classic version of Blast Rush if you're looking to go and see what the original version of the game was like. Then there's also this Blast Box, which gives you some challenges you can go and try that take the basic idea of the game and remix them. There's also these Tier 2 items, which I haven't been able to unlock yet, so it's something that's a minor frustration. I haven't figured that out, but aside from that, the game's a lot of fun, and I do definitely recommend it. So selecting LS mode, we have two versions we can play, Standard and Endurance. And if you're looking for just a real quick blast of the game, then you also have the 2-minute variants, where you can set it to Standard 2-minute or Endurance 2-minute. Then once you select your mode, and we'll be starting with Standard, you're taken to your ship selection. Each ship has a different set of bombs you can select from. So depending on what kind of ship you take, that's going to be kind of the shape of your run, so you do want to be careful with choosing what you like here. We'll go ahead and choose the default, the BR-15, for the start. Then, once you've selected your ship, you have 3 bombs you can cycle through. And you can see there's brief descriptions of them there, as well as the little card that shows basically how it functions. And then we have the gun. The gun basically is just for points, so the enemies aren't actually damaged by it, but if they're hit by it, they do go and give you additional points. So we will turn that on for this run and leave it set to auto. And lastly, we have the Hyper Dodge. This is the one item that the game does have, and for your purposes, this will basically give you some bullet time or some slowdown, allowing you to dodge around the enemies. So you can choose if this is auto, semi-auto, or manual. For our purposes, we'll just leave it on auto. So Blast Rush LS is a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up in terms of presentation. It does have support Atate mode, so that's something to keep in mind. This is the game itself. As you can see from the button prompts over there on the left, the only button we have is our bomb. So as you can see, the bomb itself is an explosion that fires a short range in front of the ship itself. So the idea is that we're on this mothership that's been damaged and is going to explode. So now we're trying to escape past these waves of enemy drones, and our shots are ineffective, but we have an infinite supply of bombs. So a pretty neat little premise there. So in addition to our bombs, there's the items that I mentioned, the Hyper Dodge. So if you get close to an enemy and you have it set to auto, it'll activate, allowing you a moment of bullet time or slowdown where you can dodge around the enemies. In addition to all that, we also have our primary scoring mechanic, this Gust attack. So as you move your ship left and right, there'll be these jets that fire from the ship. And if you destroy enemies with those jets, then you'll ultimately build up this Gust meter there on the left, and that's a score multiplier. So the higher that is, the more you'll be able to score for each enemy you defeat. So that's how you ultimately go for a high score run. And that's the basics that we have here with Blast Rush LS. Now, it is tricky, and depending on how careful you're being on a run, you can actually get a game over really quickly, like that. But as I said, this is kind of meant to be more just an arcadey sit down and just blast through several runs kind of experience, so I think that's alright. So now that we've gone and over the basics, we're going to jump to Endurance and pick a different ship. So the standard mode has 40 waves of enemies total, and then ultimately we'll go, let's see, for one more, a final, wave 41, which is a boss. However, Endurance, you just keep going through numbers of waves, scoring more and more points as long as you can survive. One thing that does go and change is that the gust mechanic doesn't go and build up your multiplier in this particular mode itself. So for this particular ship, its bomb is a very different. They're more like full screen clearing. You have one that's like a powerful laser that'll fire from the ship, or like this one, which you have these pillars that just fill the entire screen. It's super effective. However, it does go and take a lot of time to recharge, so you're not going to be able to fire them off constantly. You have to be careful when you're ultimately using those. So you can see here with this mode, there's a counter for the, a countdown for each wave, and then the wave counter there. The waves come at you in a random order or random pattern. The longer you survive, the higher your score will get. And, well, that's the idea. So, basically, we have a score attack all around for this particular game itself. And that is Blast Rush LS served up for your enjoyment. There are also the two modes that I mentioned under the Blast Box that take things and remix them a little bit. So one of them you actually are using the gun. There's the Flash Rush, which basically instead of a bomb you have a flashlight, and then when you have the enemies highlighted with the flashlight, you can shoot them with the gun. It's a pretty neat mode to play through. So as far as the minus flavors are concerned, one minor frustration I've had is I've been able to go and clear all the modes that have an ending to them, but I haven't been able to unlock the second tier of the Blast Box titles, so I haven't been able to unlock everything the game has. It's just a little bit confusing to me, so there's that. And then, overall, with the 40 waves, I just wish there was a little bit more variety to the enemies and the waves themselves, as after you've played through the game a few times, it does start to get a little on the samey side. But as far as on the plus flavors, it's just like a good, quick, arcadey action. So if you're looking for a shoot 'em up to just sit down and blast through a couple runs, then this one is an excellent choice. And then it's also a very satisfying score attack, where once you've mastered the mechanics, the point of just sitting there and trying to go and build as high of a score as possible is a lot of fun. And so there we have it. Blast Rush LS, a solid recommend from the show. Alright. That'll just about bring us to the end of this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful week yourself, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.